Hello. I'll start sharing the slides then. There's Andy's here. Great. So we have
Hi.
there's a question regarding the recording. Of course, we'll share the recording afterwards for to everyone with everyone who signed up. So yeah, you can watch it later also, of course. Um, yeah, so let's start, right? So maybe just a brief of introduction. I'll start sharing. Yeah, this should be the right screen. Good. So thanks everyone for joining. Great to have you here. My name is Jiri, Jiri Koutny. I work for DataSentics, which is a company, a Databricks partner, also Google Cloud partner. And we've been doing data for last 7 years, I would say. And in the last 2 years, me personally, I'm building my specialization around this SAP data and SAP Business Warehouse migrations into the new modern cloud data platforms. Yeah, I'm currently the head of SAP BW migrations, and I lead the teams developing our tooling around this topic, and also some of the projects. We have quite a lot of them currently, so happy to share our learnings and insights from them today. My colleague Andy, please, Andy.
Yes, hi everybody. So my name is Andrej Bodi, or as usually said, Andy. I've been part of DataSentics almost since the beginning, and in past years, I've been delivering cloud data platforms to our largest enterprise clients. And most recently, I've become the lead for the migrations delivery. So this is the, let's say, most recent trend, and I'll be here to talk about, let's say, the experience from this. Yes, and that's already bringing us to the agenda of the webinar today. So we have four main topics on the agenda. Please do not hesitate to ask questions in the chat while we are talking about some particular topic. We have a colleague here who is also reading this, so we are trying to make sure that everything is answered while we are talking on the topic. So the first bit is going to be a very brief introduction about our company and how we came along the SAP or SAP BW projects. This is going to be followed by a live demo of a tool we developed ourselves internally, which we are using to make these migrations smoother and faster, which is usually going to show. This is going to be then followed by some technical lessons learned from using these tools, but also delivering migrations in general. And in the last bit, I'll take over again to talk about how such efforts can be calculated, what are the main, let's say, cost drivers, what you can anticipate when you would like to engage in such activity. All right. So as promised, a very brief introduction about our company. So we as DataSentics are a company which was founded actually, I think over 8 years ago now. We are based all across Europe, but the headquarters is in Prague in the Czech Republic. And we have been dealing with data projects for the whole of our history. Big milestone is that 3 years ago we were, let's say, acquired by a large company called Atlas Evident, which opened doors to these really properly big enterprise accounts and projects. And let's say some key takeaway from our business is that we are delivering AI use cases, but we are also building data cloud platforms for these large companies. Yes, and now being a bit more concrete, how we got to these SAP projects, or basically what made us think about the topic of SAP BW migrations. So we started first engaging with SAP data actually quite a few years ago for the customers you can see on the screen. So for companies like Bayer, Mercedes, or Asahi, and for these projects, we were more reactive partner. We were entering these larger accounts, and we were just delivering, ingesting, integrating data into cloud as we were told. And we already notified that in order to do this, there is a large knowledge barrier about what has been developed, what exists in the legacy systems, which need to be moved to cloud. And there is a lot of manual effort and also to prepare such a project, to set it up, there is a lot of inefficiently used time where the client is preparing some very extensive instructions on how to do it, which can extend to hundreds of pages. But then when this is turned into reality, the developers still have a lot of questions. It's definitely not very straightforward what to do, and basically it takes a very long time to set such project up. As we were successfully delivering these platforms to these customers, we also developed our relationship with these clients. They started to trust us more, which strengthened our partnerships and let us work on more advanced platform topics. So we started actually leading the lakehouse designs and architectures, and we already started to think about the data modeling in cloud, how this should differ or be the same as on the source. And this is where we already got to know also SAP BW, the business warehouse, which was a integrated part of both Bayer and Mercedes project. And we have already started also being the partner for testing new types of technology, more modern approach, how to improve the overall technological landscape of our clients. So we were no longer just partners for Databricks or for Azure in particular, but also partner of basically bringing some added value in terms of architecture. And during this, we found out that the SAP BW is going to be decommissioned soon, and there is a lot of complex legacy data modeling present in these on-prem warehouses, which somehow needs to be efficiently migrated. And most recently, our clients trust us enough not to just let us do the integration, but also migration projects, which have these, tough deadlines and tough roadmaps. And during these, we already internally started to think about how to make it more efficient, how to help, there is a boom of GenAI, how to utilize this either generative or agentic approach in making these deliveries faster, and how to assess the scope, how to work with all the documentation and what's there to migrate efficiently without having to read everything or without waiting for hundreds of pages of instructions to be done. So yeah, so this is, let's say, our history, and this got us thinking. Yeah, so once we already had these tools, all internal, let's say, ways of making things more efficient, we told ourselves, let's build some tool which can be used by all clients, which can be improved with what the clients actually need. And it had a few goals. Yeah, so before we started developing something, there were four main ideas what we had behind this tool. Idea number one was that we would like to become as independent as possible from the client's experts on the BW, because they are usually very busy and they can easily become a bottleneck. We wanted also to be more independent on the SAP BW experts, which are very scarce, on the market, also with the clients, also with our company. There are not too many of them, so we need to automate everything what is possible and only use them really for the edge cases where they are needed. We wanted to speed up the assessment, basically to intake all the information about everything what's there to be assessed or migrated. And we obviously wanted to automate the code conversion from the source to the target platform. If you have thousands of transformations and lines of code with GenAI, definitely you need to make some shortcuts. So this was another feature we wanted our migrator to have. Yes, and Jiri and then some of our other colleagues, they really developed this tool, which is the BW Migrator, the logo in the top right corner. It's our own in-house built tool. It's our IP, but we are developing it with our clients. We are delivering it to our clients, and they are using it to assess their SAP BWs. So this is an overview of projects where we were involved in the past 12 months, and as you can see, these projects have a lot in common. Yeah, so they are sorted from the most mature to the least mature in terms of the progress and the project stage. But despite the sizes of the SAP BWs having thousands of data sources, thousands of info objects, hundreds of cubes, and really thousands of custom transformations and update rules, we were able to assess the scope using our tool usually in just a couple of months. And then we are able, or we will be able, for the projects which are about to start or just starting, to deliver the full scope migration within between 1 and 2.5 years, more or less. So this is primarily due to the fact that our tool, first of all, is good as assessment, and secondly, is really good at pointing what part of the scope can be archived. So we are proactively suggesting the parts of the SAP BW which nobody has the courage to say we can archive this, but we can, let's say, bring reasons and data why this part is safe to be archived. Not sure if there are some questions.
Yeah, there are some questions actually. Yeah, Lars asked some questions. I plan to answer them after the demo, right? So if the other people also, other attendees also interested in something else, please ask questions in the either in the chat or in the question section of the of Livestorm, right? So we can now switch to the demo actually. So just give me a second. Thing. Yeah. So sharing the right screen. Yeah. So as Andrej already mentioned, we've developed this tool which we call BW Migrator, and you can see it right now. I will guide you through through the process, how we use BW Migrator for both assessments. When you just start a BW migration projects and you don't know much in detail what's in the BW and what are the dependencies and how many objects, how much ABAP code and other statistics, as well as the implementation and how we use generative AI to actually convert automatically or semi-automatically convert your existing business logic written most in ABAP or formulas, right, in SAP BW into SQL in this case. And this tool, maybe just a generic intro. There was some question from Lars regarding to the target technology. So we built this tool to support any target data platform. I would say that we have most experience with Databricks because we are like a company who started with Databricks 7 years ago. So we have really deep expertise in Databricks, but also recently we started working on one GCP project, right? So GCP is validated. This tool is validated to work with GCP, but of course, like we can do Snowflake, we can do maybe even Fabric, right? What the customer is willing to do. Also, as SAP Business Data Cloud is coming to the market, we are doing our best to make this tool also compatible with BDC or SAP DataSphere. So here we are on the dashboard. You can see that we already have some projects here. Project is basically a unit where we store some BW objects. I'll show you in a minute. But maybe let's start with the global overview of our BW here. So you can see that we have hundreds and thousands of some objects. You can see that we are able to categorize the routines, right? Show the number of code lines, also ABAP functions and methods, and how many code lines are used in those ABAP methods. So this is just a generic overview. We can also see all the objects here, right? And in this assessment, I will focus on one specific object, which is this GC01, and the use case will be about electronic gift cards, right? So some gift cards you can buy online and get some discount on the store. So this is some reporting, original reporting developed for this electronic gift cards. About like the revenue and how much revenue these gift cards really brought to the site or to the store. So you can see that there are a couple of objects, some traditional icons, BW icons, data sources, ADSOs, info sources, and others, cubes, right? And you can see there are like two parts of it, and they all end in this multi-provider, which is basically the object used for the final reporting or consumption from the front-end team, right? So you can also see that some of the lines are green and some of the lines are red. So what does this mean? So we analyze SAP BW logs to identify inactive data transformations where no data flows happened in the last 6 months, 12 months based on the configuration, right? So you can see that the red are basically unused, inactive, and the green part of the circle is active. So what I will do is that I'll just add all the objects from the green path to the new project, which I created, right? This all is called EGC, electronic gift cards, and then we'll analyze it further, right? So really, in this first step, we've already identified that some part of this flow is inactive, so we don't need to care about it in the migration. So we'll save some time and effort by ignoring this left part of the graph, basically. So let me now add the objects to this ECG project in the cube, right? So they all have been added here into the EGC project. I can open it right now. And here, if I click to the graph, you can see that only the objects, the active part of the EGC use case have been added here. You can see it on the graph, right? There are a couple of other information about this use case, this project you can see here. So on sources, you can see there is just one source system and only one data source and source system, of course. Also, there are a couple of transformations routines. Maybe the thing that is this one is important. So you can also see that this project, the objects from this project, depend on some other projects, right? Because you can see that there are some info objects used in the objects of this project, like the zero customer and some other zero date, right? And they are used in those objects of this current project. So this already gives me an understanding about dependencies, and also I can quickly understand if this particular info object is already being implemented as part of some other project, right? So some of them are, you can see it here, but still some of the info objects are have not been implemented yet, because it's either in development or we just forget about them and we have to implement them first, right? Because really this EGC project is dependent on all those info objects and master data being available in the new data platform. And also works with the non-info objects, I would say. So this second part is created by analyzing the ABAP code. So by analyzing the ABAP code and all the routines and all the sub-functions and methods, we can easily find out that there is one more object which is being used and which is like a source of data for this use case in some routine, as well as, of course, the ticker X table, because there is some logic working with decimal places in the ABAP routine. So really, for this project to be able for this project to be delivered, you need to have ticker X table, and this object also be available in the target data platform. So this is just for the assessment. So let's go back to the graph, and let's now show how the transformations and objects can be converted to SQL, right? So if I go to click to this line, I'll get to the transformation, and you can see that there is already a SQL tab on this. And so we already pre-generated the SQL from the object, right? From the transformation. You can regenerate it if you want by clicking the button, but we've already pre-generated it. So it's just a simple transformation in this case, no big deal. There are some constants, of course, some formulas, but no big deal so far. If we go back to the graph, there are some more interesting parts. Maybe this one. You can see that there's already some start routine here. There is already some end routine here. There are even some local routines here. So we can convert even those more complex transformations, I would say. Again, if you click the SQL tab, you can see that the generated code is much more complex, and all this code have been generated using GPT models, right? It's no manual work. Just click the generate here, and you'll get the code. We also have the full log, how it goes. So it goes step by step. Working with local routines, start routines, and end routines. Here it's like a wrong order on my local environment, but always start with the start routine, then all the local routines and end routine, and then the final step. So it goes really step by step, and it eventually produces this final SQL code. So this is how we are able to translate every transformation from your BW from this EGC project. But what about like we don't want to do lift and shift, right? That's what most our customers tell us. We want our new data platform to be simplified. Some of the BW logic have been with us for 20 years, and we want to change some things. We want to optimize some parts of the pipeline. So does BW Migrator also support those optimizations? And answer is, of course, yes. And I can show you how it can be achieved. So usually in this case, those objects, those BW objects were created for some reason to follow some architectural patterns, but maybe in the new platform, you don't need them, right? And you just want to go directly from the data source to those like table or like ODSO or even into the cube, right? In one step. So the way how it can be achieved is that you can basically highlight all those transformations and then click merge, and it takes a few minutes to combine all the SQL code from all those separate transformations, combine them together to form one SQL that contains all the logic without unnecessary intermediary steps, right? And I can show you how it looks like. So you can see in this merged transformation sections, this is the full chain, right? From data source to the ODSOs, and you can view the SQL, right, from data source into those ODSOs, and you can see the full SQL here with all the logic, but it's simplified compared to those like five SQLs between. So this is the way how we can really simplify, remove unnecessary objects. Also, as a result, the costs for transforming the data will be probably lower because you don't need to store many temporary steps to disk to your database. So this is about the demo. So I showed how we do the assessment, as well as I presented how we can do the actual transformation and conversion, code conversion of the actual transformations. And then, so I'll stop sharing and look into the questions.
One question which I can answer definitely is if you can migrate from SAP BW to any cloud. So the answer here would be yes. So right now the tool is not directly integrated into the target platform or the target cloud. So there is still some like manual work between the outputs of the tool and input in the target platform. And yes, we can deploy on Databricks and Azure as well as GCP.
So the one from Lars, right? So we don't install it on your BW system. All we need to have are like one-time exports of metadata from around 70 SAP BW tables, just the metadata, no data, right? We don't need any data. And the source code, right? Because by analyzing your source code, your ABAP source code, we are able to find all the dependencies between functions and routines and everything, right? To give you the overview of what's being called where. And that for the source code export, we have some simple ABAP script which we can provide you to export it, or you can let us go to your BW to do it on our own. It's up to you, right? But like we don't need any installation in your environment. We don't need any connection through the firewall, anything like that. Just like one-time export of the logic, basically. We might be also an option to install the tool in your environment, but usually it always takes quite a lot of time. And the customers we work with, they just don't care, and they are fine with us using our environment to process those metadata, because there is no sensitive data in there. So Christoph also asked about what languages do we support. So currently we primarily support SQL. And a form of SQL, basically, as I mentioned, we use Databricks, we use BigQuery as well. We are ready to support PySpark, of course, as well as we want to make our tool compatible with SAP DataSphere, SAP BDC. So we already have all the metadata to fill into the prompts. So transforming it from SQL to PySpark, from our perspective, is just about changing the prompts of the GPT model, translate it into SQL versus translate it into PySpark, right? So yeah, you'd like to support PySpark if we have a first customer who is interested in using PySpark instead of on SQL. And of course, the tool is fully customizable. We understand that every company has a bit different methodology, frameworks, how they plan to develop data pipelines. So this is what we are open to do. This is part of the implementation assessment project, to configure our tool to produce the code in a way you like it, right? Yeah, we can migrate to any cloud, of course, any database. If it is SQL based, that's super easy. For PySpark, Databricks would be a first option for us, like the simplest option, but you can probably also do other platforms. Yeah, there's a question about how the project migration looks like and how successful really the migration can be. The automation, I guess, that is about the automation of the migration. So, and they will talk about the process, migration process later. I'll just maybe briefly say that currently we are pretty confident and we can fully automatically migrate simple ABAP routines, right? Those around, I don't know, 500, under 500 lines of ABAP code. Of course, depends on the complexity, but in general, those simple routines, the middle complexity routines, yeah, there is always some manual work needed, but still it can be done under, I don't know, 2 man days, something like that. Talking about expert routines, if they have, I don't know, more than a few thousand lines of code, might be challenging because the models might have some issues with that. But also we are still improving our tool and working on solving this as well. So in general, we believe that like 80%, 70% of the logic, which is like those simple to low to middle complexity routines, can be converted semi-automatically with some manual checks, a few man days of manual checking, right? But still, it's like nothing compared to when you need to convert everything automatically by hand, by minds of the data engineers, right? Can your tool prioritize objects? I hope I presented it, but yeah, like we know For every function, every ABAP method, we know how many times this particular function is being used in the code, in the routines, or other ABAP functions or methods. So we can prioritize it, right? And of course, we can also archive or discontinue some of the methods and functions if we find that they are unused, completely unused. And this is what we need your source code to be able to parse it and analyze all the method and function calls. Yeah. So how do we analyze the objects if they are used or inactive, right? So there are like two parts of it. One part is if there are any data flows between objects, any data being processed. So we analyze DTP logs mostly and some other logs in the BW system to understand if there are some data being transformed. And the other part is the consumption logs. So there are some consumption logs being available in BW, which helps us understand if some particular cube or multi-provider is being consumed by the end users using some, I don't know, BW queries or even some other interfaces, right? So this is also something we can analyze and give you an overview on which objects are being consumed and how often, and which are basically idle and unused. Yeah, so Lars is having another question. So the result of using our tool is, yeah, if it is just the SQL of a transformation. So we create, I'm not sure if I understand the question. So we produce the transformation SQL as well as the DDL, right? The data definition language. So we can create tables, of course, for the objects that are part of the transformation. And then we provide you with the transformation SQL, how to transform data between object A and object B. So this is what we primarily provide, right? Currently. Not sure about like dependent data texts, like yes, like the info objects, master data, and texts are also being processed by transformations. So we can also generate SQL for those, how to create master data and text data in the new data platform. We can also create transformations and SQLs for that. Yeah, similar with hierarchies and time dependent dimensions. Yeah, so no more questions for now. So let's continue. We have we're a bit short on time, but maybe let's yeah, I'll start sharing again. Thanks for asking questions. Would be great if you ask any more. I'll do my best to answer them at the end. We may extend the 1 hour. I don't have anything after that, so please ask questions. We can answer them at the end. So yeah, sharing again. So we leaving the demo. Just a couple of lessons learned from our projects, right? So always number one problem is data extraction, and in many projects this part is heavily underestimated, and then the whole project is being delayed by a lot by underestimating this challenge. So of course there are some tools on the market. SAP's providing DataSphere, which works good in most cases, probably. We also have good experience with SNP Glue, and we are partners of SNP, which is a good alternative third-party data extraction tools with support of extractors and everything needed. And there are also some other tools which we have some limited experience. I prepared recently this Excel overview of all the tools and with all their capabilities, if they support extractors, CDS views, incremental data loading, delta loading, and via which protocols. So if you're interested, yeah, happy to share this sheet with you, and yeah, we can discuss it together. What recommendations we can have for you. So yeah, just like briefly, right? So we try to use extractors if it is possible and if it makes sense, also for maintain the compatibility with the future ERP changes on the ERP side, right? Because many customers are migrating from ECC to S4 at the same time. So using extractors helps us to to minimize the impact on the data analytics platform once the S4 ERP migration is finished, right? So this is like maybe one recommendation I would do. But yeah, for some other extractors, if there is just a view extractor consists of a few tables, we can just extract the tables instead and use them, use the tables and combine them in the data platform side to avoid additional complexity on the ERP side. Because of course, like all those extractors or CDS views are good way how to simplify the data extraction on the ERP side. But on the other hand, you will become super dependent on the ERP team and their development processes. So every time you need to add some field or change something, you will need to follow their development processes and recycles. So adding a field might take a very long time compared to when you extract the whole table into your data platform and manage it there, right? So this is the second part, basically. BDC. I expected some questions around BDC. So I still didn't have a chance to work with data products. So hopefully they'll get mature next year. I saw that there are some of them already available. But as you probably know, they are available only for RISE customers, right? So all the customers running their S4 on-premise have to use DataSphere and replication flows to onboard data to Business Data Cloud. But at the end, with the Business Data Cloud, of course, maybe there is an option to make data extraction cheaper compared to native DataSphere, because when you use native DataSphere to extract the data and send them to Azure Data Lake, you have to pay this premium outbound fee, which is quite expensive for large amounts of data. So if you are okay with storing your data with DataSphere and their data lake, their internal data lake, and sharing them to Databricks or other platform using data sharing, then it might be a good option, right? We are now discussing this with one customer. So we don't have a practical experience yet because the connector is also not there, as far as I know, till the end of this year. But for the third-party Databricks, but starting next year, it might be a good option. So we always start our migration projects with logical data models, right? So entities, attributes, high-level data types, technical fields. We remove some unnecessary objects and fields because usually there are a lot of columns in the BW objects and some of them are not needed anymore. So we remove them. We rename the technical fields, the SAP technical names to business names. We also have some glossaries, so we can do it semi-automatically also because we have some glossary from the past projects, right? And also we can extract it from CDS view. So this is the logical data model. Then and this is like what I already talked about, how we remodel the existing models from BW. So to simplify the overall model, to save costs, data processing, we can just remove those intermediary step and go directly from the data source to the ODSO or to the cube even, right? Because we don't want to do lift and shift only. Then once the logical data model is finished and we cleaned up the objects we don't want in the new data platform, we generate the code using our tool transformations to form a physical data model. So DDLs and DMLs and target platform specific SQL. and we can then export all the code for manual adjustments in the IDE, where the data engineers can adjust them and check them manually and reconcile them eventually. Yeah, this answers the complexity question, right? So you can see that there are some methods and functions, and we can show you how many lines are there, how many occurrences throughout the whole BW system are, yeah, how many times it's being used or called, and also in which projects, if you already separate with your BW objects into multiple migration units or projects in our tool. Yeah, and then of course I already covered that, right? So we are able to customize the SQL produced by our tool to follow your guidelines, to create code that you like, and it matches your expectations. Yeah, and also historical data migration. Usually, what we do is then when we cut off some of the intermediary objects, we copy the historical data from the objects that equal in the BW as well as the new platform. So in this case, it will be this ZO EGC02, and yeah, so we'll use the history from BW and then also combine it with the newly calculated similar object in the new data platform, right? By using this, for example, union all, we can combine history as well as the new data to fulfill the requirements of, for example, financial reports, right, which expect 10 years of data being available, or also some other departments wanting to have longer history of data. And we also use this approach for reconciliation, right? So as we can have the similar objects in BW, also in the new platform, Databricks or GCP or what the platform is, we can simply do one-to-one reconciliation between those two objects, and if it matches, then we are finished and we can hand over our work to operations. Yeah. And so let's maybe, if you want to continue on this one, and at the end,
I will.
all the remaining questions.
Exactly. So I will make it a bit shorter than I originally anticipated because of the questions. There are a few very interesting ones. So I will just try to focus on the most important. So how do we usually deliver these projects? It's also one of the questions. So there are two stages of these projects. The first one is the assessment phase, which usually takes about 1 quarter. In this stage, we are analyzing the usage of all the SAP data objects, the transformations, the connections between them. We are heavily using the tool Jiri was demoing, and we are working on the assessment of the scope and the agreement with the customer, what it is to be archived versus re-engineered or lifted and shifted. And the outputs are the logical data model. So this is really done manually or verified with the customer. So it's like the final version. And then we also generate the physical data model using our tool for the whole scope. And we prepare the offer for the full scope implementation. And the full scope implementation is then based on top of the outputs of the assessment. It has certain duration from 1 to 2.5 years. And in this stage, we are really making the generated code work. So we are either running more iterations of the code generation if needed. We are deploying it within some pipelines onto some target platform. We are also building the orchestration. So at the end of the implementation, the customer basically has the data running in the target platform. As for the data ingest, extraction, and migration, actually, this is subject to discussion. This is optional, yeah. So it really depends from project to project if we are part of this and to what extent. Because sometimes the customer has their people, SAP experts who they would like to utilize. So we are really always trying to make the most use of the client's people on any part of this project where possible. Yes, so moving on to really each of these stages in a bit more detail, and how does the calculation work, or what are the cost drivers of such efforts, and what some timeline looks like, or roadmap, let's say. So as for the assessment, the main inputs are the numbers of the objects and the lines of the routing codes, and obviously some discussions about the overall, let's say, direction of this project in terms of re-engineering and the general architectural, let's say, strategy of the customer. Here we are using our tool to identify the SAP objects and the relationships and use between them. Yes, from the roadmap, really the key part is really we start to do something end to end at the beginning, the first so-called migration unit, so that we test all the, let's say, uh, potential problems and challenges of such delivery, and only then we move on to all the other migration units. And the main activities are assessment of the full scope implementation, the physical and the logical data model creation. Usually, this project can be done in 2 to 4 full-time equivalents in about quarter, and it costs roughly between 60 and 120,000 euros. And then once this is done, we are moving to the implementation, the full scope implementation, where the code drivers are very similar, but at this stage much more precise already, given that we've done all the assessment and we really have the logical data model prepared. Also, we have exact number of tables in the final data model after all the reengineering, after covering the, let's say, differences between the source data models and the target one, which there are always some. And also we need to take into account the readiness of the target platform. And at this stage, we are using our tool to translate the code, and also we are somehow helping ourselves with the reconciliations to some extent automatically, meaning comparing the final results with the before state. The calculation on the right side is to illustrate that the overall efforts are not so huge. These are examples of a few migration units from anonymized clients, and on top of the usual effort, which is the making the code work and run in the target platform, we had to add the orchestration and deployment, and as well as the reconciliation, which takes up quite some time, as we learned ourselves, and also our experienced colleagues learned as well. And yes, and then some let's say, if it's a fixed scope, fixed price, we are also taking into some risk factor, but this is really subject to decision, and this can be done between 4 and 10 people in year to 2.5 years, really depending on how much of the SAP BW needs to be migrated and how much is actually archived at the very beginning of the implementation. Yeah, so to sum it up, why we think we can make such effort of migration of SAP BW to cloud faster is because we are using GenAI to re-engineer the current logic. We are using our tool to identify the used versus unused assets over time. We can collect, analyze, and translate the ABAP code automatically, and we have a team with experience which is ready to collaborate with your team and your people in a jointly way as needed. And this combined can lead to 30 to 50% shorter and cheaper migration delivery from the point of view of how much time has to be really spent on this compared to when done manually.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I'll take this one, Andrej. So we can offer to you, and what we usually offer to our companies that are interested in learning more about our tool and our process. So we offer a free initial assessment. We can provide you with a simple questionnaire where you answer a couple of questions, as you can see on the left side, as well as provide us with some high level, some number of BW objects you have, data sources, ADSOs, groups, and so on. And as a result, we can create a calculation for you, a very preliminary, very high level calculation based on the number of objects provided. Also, we can discuss how many of those objects you expect to archive, right? If usually for most of the projects, 40 to 60% of the objects can be archived, right? So it makes the implementation faster and cheaper, of course. Also, Then, yeah, and they already covered that a bit, right? So we can generate this estimation of man days, as well as some high level cost estimation for the whole migration, right? So this is what we can do in 2 weeks, right? If you provide us with, once you provide us with all the necessary metadata, and then if you want to know more, yeah, if you provide us more detailed metadata, we can install the tool and fill it with your metadata and show you some specific examples of how it can be used to assess and convert your logic. Yeah, so that's all from us today. Let me also read and answer some more questions from you. So Alexander asked us how we make sure that the conversion is working at the end. So we don't just provide the tool, right? Self-service tool. We usually deliver this as a project end to end with the full end-to-end responsibility. And we usually run the standard reconciliation process, right? So once we deploy the converted code to the new platform, we'll get some data, and then we compare it to the what's in BW for the same period, and make sure that it matches, right? So standard reconciliation primarily, nothing else can work better for the data related projects. Can we migrate BW queries? Yeah, so it's a popular topic. Usually what we always start with when working with BW queries is to remove duplicates, right? So customers have thousands of BW queries that were created by copying a copy of a BW query. So we have a tool to automate the duplication, I would say. We did some analysis of finding duplicates of BW queries. So we have a tool for that, not yet for the full re-engineering, rebuilding, automation of BW queries. We mostly work on the data modeling part still, right? With the backend team, with the platform team. So we developed most of the tool for that. We haven't worked much with the front-end teams yet, but like once we have this opportunity and this requirement, then we can further develop the tool to also support some automatic migration of BW queries. Yeah, say more questions. Yeah, Christian is asking about SAP nodes. Yeah, so this is the popular SAP nodes, the long number, right? Claiming that using ODP is not permitted, right? I believe that this is the node. There are tools like SNP Glue that doesn't use ODP at all, right? So they basically are compliant with this node. So I don't see any problem with that. But of course, in the future, SAP may introduce some other nodes that even restrict some other protocols or whatever, right, in SAP to forbid third-party tools at all, right? It might happen, but so far, it's all about your risk appetite. Of course, the third-party tools might be cheaper, might also be faster, even in some cases, than DataSphere, right, for real-time data processing. They have some advantages, so there is not one tool that fits all the requirements. But you are right? In the long run, it might be challenging to have a tool, third-party tool for data extraction, which is still fully compliant with all SAP nodes. Yeah, OData extraction performance. Yeah, I don't have any practical experience, to be honest. Yeah, we have a customer who tried this with Click Replicate, I believe, but like they were very unsatisfied with the performance of Click Replicate in general, so they haven't finished the project, right? So, but in general, what I heard from the market and from some prospects, OData is not the solution because it's not very practical for extracting large amounts of data. does the tool, Lars, is having another question. Does the tool need some type of log to be activated on BW to track usage? Depends, right? So there are the standard DTP logs, data transfer process logs, that, as far as I know, are enabled on any BW system. And it helps us to track the activity, like which data flows are active still. There are some data flowing between those objects, right? So this should be by default activated. The other log, I don't remember the name of the table out of my mind, but there might be some adjustments needed, because usually it's a lot of data, the consumption log, right? To let you know which objects are being consumed by the end users and which are basically idle. So this log might be very huge, and I saw some accounts where it had only 7 days of history, right? So we also have some approach for that. We can basically download the log every day to have a longer time history, or it can be temporarily extended. Yeah, there are some ways how to do that. If you're interested, like, I can share the table names, or like the object names where you can find the logs in email after the webinar. And if you ping me and send me an email, I can share it with you. So I hope that data extraction is very poor. Okay. So I believe that we reached the end, 2 minutes after the deadline. So thanks everyone for joining. And if you have further questions, please reach out to me or Andrej, right? We'll send you the recording afterwards. And if you have any questions, or if you like to try our free initial assessment, we'll be more than happy to provide it too. Thank you.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Thank you. And we will also provide answers to all the questions which were asked either in the question sections or in the chat section, even the ones we couldn't answer because they were posted a few seconds ago. So they will come as a package along with this webinar. So you can check it out. Fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.